frozen pipes can cause serious damage. That's why Absolute Restoration is giving away free faucet covers to our community while supplies last. Installing them is easy. Just slide the foam sleeve over your outdoor faucet and secure it snugly. Also remember to disconnect hoses, open cabinet doors under sinks, and let faucets drip during extreme cold. Call or text to check availability, and from our family to yours, please stay warm and protected.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday evening live here from the Room to Room Weather Center. It has been a cold day, another cold night on the way, as you heard Absolute Cleaning Restoration mentioning there in the commercial break. Got to make sure those faucet covers are covered up, or those outside spigots are as well, because we have another chilly night on the way, but things get a little bit milder after that. We're looking clear for our New Year's Eve ahead, so no precipitation, no issues if you're planning on celebrating outdoors, perhaps in Tupelo at their big celebration coming up. We'll look at that in more detail here in a minute. An in-depth look at those bowl games, and in particular that Rose Bowl forecast. We're going to break down where Futurecast has some of those rain chances and why things might be looking slightly better for that. That's coming up here in a couple of minutes. And also tracking your long-term forecast, and in particular those temperatures and rain chances. We need a little bit of rainfall. We don't want it for any of the outdoor plans for New Year's Eve, and that's not going to happen there. But we're well behind what we typically expect for this time of year, while other parts of the country are way above. Tonight, though, no signs of any sort of moisture, and it is just those cold temperatures. We're 33 degrees at 7 p.m., 29 by 10, 27 by 1 o'clock in the morning. We'll say around 27 by 4 a.m. So somewhere in the mid-20s to begin early part of your Tuesday, under, again, what are mostly clear conditions and mostly clear skies. And those showing up very well outside in Rolling Fork this evening. Appreciate all the folks out there for watching us here on Mississippi Live Weather, with that last little glow of the sun going below the horizon showing up at this instant here. In Smithville, Monroe County, good evening to you down there. Only a couple very thin clouds, and even those much less prevalent than they were last night. The dew point coming in at this instant around 15. I point out that moisture there. It's always a sign of how far those temperatures could drop, and that's in the most extreme situation. We're not going to hit there for tonight, but with the winds calmer, we're probably still going to have some low 20s out there for a couple of locations. And then in Tupelo, our Mitchell Cunningham and Bowling Skycam on the south side of town showing up with just clear skies this evening, 36 degrees, and those winds fairly calm at this instant in Tupelo as well. We're 36 in Houston and Bruce, coming in about 38 degrees there in Belzona, 33 in Senatobia, South Haven, Tunica, all kind of low 30s, and at the freezing point up in Iuka as well. Change over the last 24 hours. We're actually up. Now, this map, obviously, we were 30 or so degrees cooler than the day before. This does show we have improved a little bit over yesterday from most locations. So Columbus and Aliceville both coming in at the exact same values as you were 24 hours ago. Mississippi Live Weather Radar, we are clear of any sort of precipitation at this time across the region there. Again, appreciate Mama Justice for sponsoring Mississippi Live Weather, and that's one of our new partnerships here that we're very excited about. But no precipitation being detected out there at this instant as we continue dry with only a few very high and thin clouds at this instant, as high pressure is the story across the southeastern United States, and any mid-level cloud cover kind of moving out to the east and away from us, and any snowfall up there closer to the Midwest with this storm system that we have up that direction, that low pressure center up there towards Chicago. Definitely a sign of all the colder air that they have up that direction as well. For us, it's just kind of this little bit of high cloud cover out there at this time, continuing into tonight. No big change out there. And so, again, another cold night on the way as a result, with, again, mostly clear skies and those winds kind of out generally kind of a westerly sort of direction. You'll note, just kind of looking at the dots there, how small the dots are. That's a sign that our winds remain calmer, and that means the wind chill is much, much less of a factor than what it was for this morning. By tomorrow morning, still completely clear skies versus a few clouds this morning. That probably sets us up again for some low 20s out there in a couple of locations, below what we typically expect for this time of year for sure. So from 27 in the morning, we'll be 37 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning under mostly sunny skies, 51 by noon, and 54 as we head toward tomorrow afternoon. Our winds out of a westerly direction, so at least we've lost that northerly component. That's a sign that we'll start the gradual process of getting a little bit warmer. But that 54 is right on. I mean, within a degree of what we typically expect for a high temperature this time of the year. So we're back up to our normal, even if it is way colder than we were last weekend. And it's just a reminder of how extremely warm we were at that point and time. Okay, coming up in 60 seconds, we're looking at a long-range forecast, but we're also looking at your forecast for SEC football. As we know, again, a lot of folks watching and excited about the playoff games involving Ole Miss, the game back there, Duke's Mayo Bowl in North Carolina there. Mississippi State will have that forecast. And the one that's probably the most sensitive to the actual weather, and that's going to be what's going on there in Pasadena, California, the Rose Bowl in Alabama. The latest on the expectation there, we're looking at where Futurecast is placing those rain chances and why things might be looking slightly better for that one by game time as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovhawn.
Well, good evening, Caledonia, Lowndes County. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather here at 6 p.m. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon at the freezing point and dropping with clear skies, no blanket of cloud cover. It is going to be a cold night, certainly taking shape out there in the Lowndes County area. And appreciate everyone for following us down there in Lowndes County, in Columbus, Caledonia, near the Air Force Base. 34 degrees, all eyes, or most eyes, or at least side eyes, on that forecast for Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Alabama. Those forecasts coming up here in a couple moments, but outside in Oxford this evening. Again, no more playoff games to host there, but still a fairly cool night. That feels like temperature, though, right at the actual temperature because, well, I mean, let's be honest, we're fortunate enough that we don't have much wind. And I think that's something they'll carry over, though, maybe just a little more wind than we have out there right now for tomorrow for a forecast for New Year's Eve. Hey, excited that we're running up closer to a new year, 46, that 6 p.m. temperature for tomorrow evening. So pretty much warmer than high temperatures for today after sunset. We're 37 at 9 p.m., 34 degrees as we look toward the stroke of midnight tomorrow night. And so excited for the beginning of a new year and all the new beginnings that'll mean for us here on Mississippi Live Weather and for you individually at home. But certainly is expected to be a fairly cool forecast. No rainfall chances there. The only chances I can kind of argue for on Friday, and we'll show you those in a minute. We are not impressed with those looking forward. So we have been pretty dry recently, and it looks like that is something that definitely is continuing. Hour-by-hour forecast, your day planner on Wednesday. We're going to 28 degrees at 7 a.m., 51 by noontime, and 54 as we head toward 3 p.m. Those winds out of a westerly direction, that one that's kind of associated with at least somewhat warmer air. That's why the 54 gets us back up nearer what we expect for this time of the year. We'll be 28, though, for that low temperature in Senatobia, 29 degrees, as you can see there in South Haven, 27 in Clarksdale, 25 in Eupora, and 26 degrees in Bruce and Houston. Again, mostly clear skies overnight, and wind chill temperatures down into the low 20s, the mid-20s. So this is cold enough that certainly you probably want to make sure those outdoor faucets are in good shape. It's really kind of tricky. I'm going to go back a graphic here for just a moment and show you these lows. When we're, say, 22, 21, we're much more likely to be below freezing a long enough period of time that we have some of those outdoor pipes, some of those pipes end up freezing. At 26, 27, that isn't always as big a deal. You might still want to have just a little bit of a drip going on that faucet on the inside of the house, on that faucet there, and then the cabinet doors open to let the air circulate in. It's just one thing that helps us out, but at least we're not on the extreme end of the cold, but we're thankful that we're partnering with the folks there at Absolute Cleaning and Restoration. They're giving away faucet covers for the outside. Not as necessary this time around for today as they were this morning, but we'll have more of these big sub-freezing temperatures going forward. And so on their Facebook page, just look up Absolute Cleaning and Restoration. I think we shared one of their posts as they're giving away some of those faucet covers. Just a good way to kind of help out and give back to the community. And help prepare some folks out there for the cold weather that's still ahead before you have to have that restoration efforts done. So your Wednesday, we are mostly clear, mostly dry. There are those westerly winds, again, continuing in. And by noontime, temperatures approaching the 50-degree point under these mostly clear skies. Notice the winds do pick up just a little bit more into the afternoon. But as we kind of wrap up the final day of 2025, only a couple of clouds as close as any moisture gets to us. We're in good shape. And so high temperatures for your Wednesday, up to about 52 degrees in Oxford, 51 in Holly Springs, Senatobia, coming in about 52, 56 for Greenville. And our cold spots up there, Iuka and Red Bay, both coming in still in the upper 40s, closer to the center of our cold core system and all of the colder air associated with that. In fact, to kind of widen things out here for a moment, that is one of the stories here. We still continue to have this persistent snowfall for locations back to our north and east, but we do have a weak front kind of moving toward us. And the air behind this is not as impressive. It's what we call a clipper front. All the meaningful cold air from this is largely out this direction here. It tends to stay closer to the upper level storm system and its, counterclockwise flow up that direction. So for us, it's somewhat cooler, but I want you to note that you can see how that front moves a lot faster to the east than it does to the south. So while this definitely comes in, this air is not nearly as cold as the last batch we had come through. So we don't expect the same level of chill to go along with that as we head into the first day of course, the new year. 2026 starting off still cool, but not as extremely cold. So a forecast for Thursday morning for New Year's Day, beginning around the freezing point, and that is milder there in Grenada, 30 degrees in Water Valley, Bruce, 31 there in Houston, become about 29 for Hamilton, Alabama, 30 in Tupelo, and 29 degrees there in the Boonville area. Let's walk hour by hour through your Thursday forecast. Again, we are dry here across not just Mississippi, but pretty much the entire southeast. The fronts have really carved in a lot of drier air, and as that drier air pushes in the area, just as you would imagine, doesn't allow much in the way of precipitation. So we keep it clear. We're keeping it dry as we're progressing into and through your Thursday. Again, number of bowl games we're looking toward over the next couple of days here down there in New Orleans. If you're planning on making the trip down that direction, the travel forecast looking about as good as it ever does this time of the year, really any of the year for that matter, as we're looking clear and dry for that. Low 60s out there for your Thursday. And again, this is above that normal, that 30-year average for this time of year, nowhere near a record. As you can see, 80s where we should be for records. But yeah, 53 where we should be. Everybody at least in the upper 50s. And some lower 60s out there showing up, as you can see, for Newport, about 61, 62 Houston, as well as 62 Kosciuszko, and 60 degrees back there closer to Shelby. So let's progress through Thursday night. As you can see, a few more clouds kind of showing up in here for your Thursday, but keeping it fairly dry. We mentioned that one rain chance we have in the forecast here. Here's looking at our strike model. It's kind of loosely attached to this low pressure center we have back out on the plains. But what you don't see attached to that is any kind of front, right? So as this kind of swings in right there, and maybe a little overdone on our model, is that one precipitation chance. We'll bring back the full Mississippi view here for a moment. This is light to maybe moderate rainfall at most with this kind of quick moving system. See how it's in? And even by dawn on Friday, almost out of here. I think we could have some residual showers that do kind of flow in behind it. We show some of those around by midday Friday. So of the next 5-6 days, this is our best chance for rainfall. As you can see, it's kind of a quick hit there in the early morning hours on Friday. This, of course, be the second day of the new year. And then possibly through midday, some limited chances. This kind of associated with this warm front Not a whole lot warmer associated with that, but it's allows maybe just a little bit of moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. I just honestly think we've scraped out so much moisture. This is not going to have much to work off of. So it's highly likely this is overdone on Futurecast here. We certainly need some rainfall there. So we're watching that potential as we look toward your Friday there, as you can see. So we'll have more, of course, on the some other regional forecasts, in particular looking for that SEC football forecast here in a couple moments. But over the next couple of days, again, we're dry through your last day of 2025, your first day of 2026, and then as we head toward Friday, that limited rain chance. Now, what you saw a second ago clearly is above 20%. Why do we have 20% on there? It's because we just don't have a high level of confidence. I'm going to bring our meteorologist, Caleb Edelblut, in here for a second. He's back at the broadcast facility in the physical room-to-room weather center back there in downtown Tupelo.
Looks like it's just me. There we go.
No, sorry. I punched the wrong button there. I think you'll agree with me that, strike model is aggressive in comparison to most of the other projections. Is that a fair statement?
100%. I mean, I keep looking at these models and they update day to day, and could argue to put the 30% there, but with how dry we've been lately, just really keeping it at 20%, that cold front, dropping those dew points like you mentioned at the start of this broadcast. So it's fighting an uphill battle, but the chance is there as we get closer to Friday, but just not the strongest chances that we can see right now.
Okay, and I'm going to kind of illustrate what you mentioned there, the dry air. I'm glad you mentioned that. Our meteorologist, Caleb Edelblut, which obviously is part of this. But so I have wind up here, but I wanted to show you what we call high-resolution dew points. And this is that measure of moisture based on the same scale as temperature. When you're hoping to get some rainfall, you need to get into the greens here. But what do we not have anywhere near us? Greens, right? So it is just dry, all the way back there into the Gulf of Mexico, dew points in the 20s. So it's going to take a while for that to replenish. That's one of the things that makes us extremely pessimistic on some of the rain chances, even the better ones that we have later on this week. Okay, coming up in 60 seconds, we are going to be looking at a couple of things. First off, and then I think the big portion of this is going to be SEC football, your forecasts for all the bowl games, and I'll look at that in more detail as far as the extended forecast and maybe some slightly better rain chances there as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
At 5:18, you're watching Mississippi Live Weather, now almost 5:19. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopp on SEC Football Forecast, brought to you by Carl Hogan Toyota. And we are looking at 40s out there for the first play of the Mississippi State Bowl game, Duke's Mayo Bowl against Wake Forest. They're expecting to be in the 40s, but expecting it to be dry. In a lot of ways, very simple forecast on this one. It's going to be fairly cool, but again, there's no moisture to work off of there, so that one on the day after New Year's expected to be dry and clear. The next one here is kind of obvious because obviously it's an indoor game, but we don't expect the weather to be a factor for the Ole Miss game. We do anticipate that, again, it will be in the 60s if you're planning on being, out and about, maybe not at the game itself prior to the game. Is still pretty mild, but obviously dry for the Ole Miss and Georgia fans that'll be down there in the Big Easy for the Sugar Bowl. So if you're making the trip, as we talked about a minute ago, travel forecast looks good for that. And when you get down there, I'm not going to say party forecast, but I guess I just did. Party responsibly, enjoy responsibly, but certainly some longer sleeves probably couldn't hurt, but it's not as cold as it has been there or here. Now the complicated one. Alabama and Indiana. This is, the Rose Bowl, always a huge game, and expected to have a lot of showers, even potentially some thunderstorms out there to impact this one. Earlier in the game, more likely, and honestly, earlier in the day, most likely to have some impacts. Let's look at Futurecast on this one. 60s throughout because there's just so much onshore flow of moisture. Here's a look again. Right about there-ish is where we would have Pasadena on the map. So let's watch as showers. You can see widespread through your Thursday, through your New Year's Day, impacting that. And then here's that possibility of some thunderstorms with kind of this big flare-up that you see out there making its way onshore. Typically Southern California, extremely dry. Obviously has been the case for the last week or so, and is not going to be the case as this pattern continues to be very, very wet. So probably some rainfall issues there for the Rose Bowl parade. If for whatever reason you happen to be making the trip and enjoying that, that will be some problems there. I have a friend who's actually going to be marching in that. I need to talk to him. We might have to talk to him on camera about that. But yeah, that one obviously is going to be rather soaked and just very, very wet all the way into the afternoon. Still some of those showers around. But notice 3 p.m. here, which is supposed to be kickoff of that game. It's like magic. Things try to clear out. Now, if this slows down even a little bit, obviously we could have a lot of issues there. But we are anticipating, obviously, keeping some spotty showers around into the evening there. Hopefully, going to expect things to dry out in time. But certainly over the last 7 days, there has been a significant amount of rainfall in those locations. I mean, this is a year's worth of rainfall all at the same time. Yeah, pretty wet. And so some flooding issues there, obviously a major concern to continue. By the way, did have a friend text a minute ago. I need to check our graphic there. I think I had 6 p.m. on that. Ole Miss graphic should say 7 p.m. Apologize for that. We'll get that fixed between broadcasts there as well. But obviously a lot of rainfall that the West Coast has been seeing that we have not been seeing recently. And looking at the extended forecast, something that'll continue there even into the first week of the new year. This is not just, the next couple of days, but the overall pattern stays extremely wet in comparison to what they typically see even through, the 9th of January. So we're about the next 7 to 10 days there. On the wider shot, we show what it looks like for us, and we're kind of on the verge there of typically what we'd expect for this time of year and slightly wetter than our normal. So certainly the western part of the state more likely to have a little bit more in the way of precipitation, but it's a sign that we have been dry. And if we can get close to normal, we typically pick up more of our rainfall this time of year than almost any time of year. So the fact that it says closer to normal means chances actually get better from where they have been. And then looking deeper into January, really we're looking now through the first half of January, especially that kind of midweek there in January. We're looking at rain chances definitely on the increase. Most of our long-term patterns starting to indicate that could be the case. Either way, it's a lot warmer. That is the trend. Certainly, we have worked our way that direction. We've used up a lot of that Canadian air. It takes a while for that to replenish. From January 5th to January 9th, odds are pretty good that we're going to be above our normal, and even into the extended forecast there, likely to be the case as we head into the middle part of next month. So most indications, pretty warm weather on the way. If that's something that you like, certainly the next couple days we're heading that way and going beyond that in the extended forecast. Our next live broadcast, speaking of extended forecast, is going to be tonight at 10 o'clock. Our meteorologist, Caleb Edelblut, is going to be giving us an update here on the latest on some of those cold temperatures for the next couple of mornings. We're also going to have our Will Kohlmeyer. He'll have a new update on that Ole Miss game against Georgia. Obviously, huge matchup there. He'll have an update from Oxford coming up during our 10 o'clock broadcast as well. The person was asking, I believe, also in the comments, and I'll bring it back in here to the Room to Room Weather Center for a moment. Person was asking in the comments about coverage for New Year's Eve tomorrow. Still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to handle that. I think we might be live and doing some of that. I don't know that we're going to go all the way to midnight this year. That's probably something we look at doing next year. We will see. I'll be perfectly honest. It'll depend on how the rest of my day goes, on how late we end up staying up as far as that's concerned. I guess we could make a dropping ball graphic to ring in the new year. hey, let us know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see us do. We'll get that figured out, perhaps. We will see you coming up at 10 o'clock here for Mississippi Live Weather. Thanks for supporting us and following us. And again, like and subscribe to all of our different pages. If you haven't done that, of course, the easiest way to do that is by picking up Mississippi Live Weather app, free and available for all those different devices on iOS and Android devices. And those weathercasts, of course, always there at mslifeweather.com. We will see you coming up tonight at 10.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff.
You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?